Good morning and welcome to the Swine Product Spotlight presented by the Iowa Pork Producers Association. I'm Cindy Cunningham and I'll be your host for these spotlights today. We are so glad that you've joined us today and we hope that you were able to join us yesterday too. As you can see, the 49th Annual Iowa Pork Congress looks a bit different this year as we have had to limit our in-person activities and move the educational seminars and Iowa Pork Foundation auction to a virtual format. While the shift in events is a bit of a disappointment, the IPPA Board of Directors used the core "We Care" values to make decisions to keep the whole community safer as the nation works through this coronavirus epidemic. Even with these changes, you can still connect with vendors, attend seminars, and much more. One of the important aspects of the Iowa Pork Congress is that during the trade show, it gives pig farmers an opportunity to talk to a variety of vendors and to kick some tires. We'll be doing just that through the Swine Product Spotlight right here on this webinar this morning and again at 2:30 this afternoon. If you're interested in yesterday's Swine Product Spotlight, just log on to the Iowa Pork website at iowapork.org or check it out on the Swinecast site at swinecast.com. If you're interested in other seminars, the auction or more, you can simply log on to iowapork.org for a complete schedule and to register. And be sure to follow along on the social media aspect as well at hashtag Iowa Pork Congress 2021. Again, that hashtag on social is Iowa Pork Congress 2021. During our time today here on the Swine Product Spotlight, our goal is to showcase companies and their products, bringing you the latest in swine products, technology, and innovations. These are some of the highlights that you would have seen in the trade show. This is the third of our 4 spotlights. So if you missed one or want to watch one again, simply log on to view them at iowapork.org or the Swinecast website, again, swinecast.com. Our first order of business, though, is the technology that we're using today. To make this easier for all who have joined, we've taken some of the details and done some of the work for you. You're in a listen-only mode, which means we've muted your microphones for you. Chances are you will have some questions for a specific company. Let me say we welcome those questions. Just type them in the QA box at the bottom of your Zoom window, and I'll be sure each speaker takes some time to answer them for you. I'm extremely excited about the folks you'll meet today during this session: AP, DP Techlink, and Once Inc. We will spend about 10 minutes with each company. We've got a lot of ground to cover this morning, so let's get started. Our first guest today is AP. AP has a full line of feed storage and delivery systems, feeders, ventilation, and environmental controls. AP and its dealers are on your team finding solutions that fit any swine production operation. We're excited to have AP with us in each of our spotlights, and Brian Rieck, the Senior Manager of Product Management, is going to join us to talk a little bit about the Flex-Flo unloader.
So the Flex-Flo unloader has a few things that we want to talk about overall. So with this design is a low profile, which gives you a little bit more distance between the bottom of the unloader and the clear plastic boot. This is important for any maintenance type activities or even some feed reclamation activities that may take place with the system. It also comes with a custom molded clear door. So you'll have easy visualization of what's going on inside that unloader without taking the access door off. Also, we will have a full line of product offerings. So the Model 220, Model 300, Model 350, HR, and 500 will all get these upgrades. So some of the features we want to talk about today is wear, right? That's probably the main reason that we started this project is we saw that there was longevity issues in our current galvanized unloader line. So in order to combat that, what we did is we took some of the parts and turned them into glass-filled nylon. So 2 of those parts is the tube anchors and then a wear plate that I'll show you an individual picture of later in the presentation. So with that increase, it increased the wall thickness and changed material. So we have at least 4 times wear resistance compared to our current galvanized unloaders. It also improves the tube alignment. We can hold much better tolerances with an injection molded part than what we can with a welded part, because in welded parts you get a lot of warping and distortion depending on how it's welded and the type of material that you're welding. So our quality of those parts is going to be dramatically improved. One other thing that we did is we have a 75% larger opening. So up here, we've increased this opening, so we're going to have 75% more opening compared to our legacy line of unloaders, which will definitely help with feed bridging events. And then also we talked a little bit more is increased ground clearance and why that was important. So some of the other features is water intrusion. We have custom EDPM gaskets on the tube anchors and transfer plates. So on here, you're going to have a gasket. Up here, you're going to have a gasket to give us the best seal in the industry. We'll also have corrosion resistance because the parts we're talking about, they'll also be composite or plastic, right? The nylon material I was talking about. So that by default is going to be a very corrosive resistant material. Along that line as well, those that aren't composite materials, we're going to have our standard galvanized offering that we've had for many years. We're also going to come up with a stainless steel offering for those people that want that added corrosion protection. Another thing that is good about this is ease of serviceability. What does that mean? So it's easy to service. So if we do have a part that breaks or gets worn out for many different reasons, we can replace the wear plates without removing the auger. We can add or remove baffles through the access door, and there's really no special tools. If you've got a good set of wrenches in your truck, you'll be able to service this unloader. The next thing is modular design. So all these unloaders use similar parts and pieces, and we just put them together in a kit or an assembly to come up with the different twins through, twin out, and so on and so forth. So we'll have single, twin, and quad versions. Quad version is new, and that's something I'll show you in a future slide coming up soon. Common wear plates and tube anchors. So the model 220, 300, 350, and HR use the same wear plates. So you don't have to have different versions for different sizes of unloaders if you have that in your area or your system. And we also have optional models to fit on legacy unload systems. That means any unloader that we've got today will have a new version of that will directly bolt up to that current style 16-inch boot, and you're off to the races. The last thing that I want to mention on this slide is this system is patent pending. Here's a breakout, exploded view, if you would, of all the different components. So it just shows the tube anchors, the gaskets, and things like that, and the anchor bearings. This is a slide I was talking about. This is the wear plate. So you can see the wall thickness is much thicker. It's got a very, very uniform design. So the alignment is going to be as good as it can possibly be, because this alignment, this surface is going to mate up exactly to the tube anchor. So there won't be any wear points that the auger can work at wearing like we might see on some of our steel unloaders today. The last slide that I've got here is kind of giving you a 360 view of the different things and configurations that we can have. So one noticeable difference that you'll see is our anchor bearing system has changed to a bolt-on system. This allows it to be fastened directly to the unloader body, and we don't have to worry about those muffler clamps getting loose and pushing that auger out the back of the bin. This is showing a legacy unload system with our current 16-inch either clear, translucent, or black boot. We've got a model that'll fit up exactly to that. And then I had also mentioned the quad unloader. So this is another version that we wanted to use our 75% increased opening, but a lot of times we'll need up to 4 augers coming out of a particular bulk tank. So with that, we've got this quad offering available as well. Thank you for the quick presentation and your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to call out at 712-441-0029 or email me at brian.rieck@agcocorp.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And Brian Rieck joins us now for some questions. We've already got some producer questions that have come in about the Flex-Flo unloader system. And producers, it's your turn. We would certainly welcome all the questions from you. All you need to do is just drop them in that QA box at the bottom of the page, and we'll make sure that we get some time to go through these questions. So Brian, welcome. Senior Manager Product Management with AP. Our first question for you from a producer is, what are some of the regular maintenance activities we should be doing?
Some of the regular maintenance activities is greasing the anchor bearing, no doubt. I mean, we want to do that at least once a turn and more frequently on systems that run longer. Other than that, basically, there's really no other maintenance needed on the unload system.
Okay. And then we've got another question. And again, producers, I know we're just getting started here, but drop those questions in that QA box and we will get to those. The next question asks, the parts we can see through, how hard are they to replace and how long would that take?
So the access door is going to be very simple and very quick, right? Basically, you loosen two wing nuts, you slide it to the side and pull it out. So a few minutes you could replace that door. The boot, on the other hand, would be a little bit more time consuming and would require an empty bin to do that.
Okay. Brian, I've got a question. When will these products be available?
So we're doing a limited launch right now. So the legacy of the ones that fit our existing unloaders are available today. By the end of March, we will do a full launch. And so we'll have the larger boot and all the products available for purchase at that time.
Brian, is the product compatible with competitors' boots and unloaders?
Absolutely. It's backwards compatible with our products, but also a majority of the competitors that we have out in the world. So we took a lot of time and effort to make sure that that backwards compatibility was there. Yes.
What about packaging options? Are they available to the marketplace?
So that's one unique thing that we didn't have in the past. So today you can buy them as an assembled version, just like you would today. And we're also getting a kit put together. A kit is put together so that you can choose to assemble that in the field. And one value added portion of the kit is if you have a twin out or a twin through or a 300 or 350, you can put those modular parts together and come up with what you need at that time. So I think that's going to be a very big value added feature to service people. They can actually have the parts on their truck and build whatever unloader they need to service that day.
So let's talk a little bit about that. How, if a producer has questions or isn't sure if this would fit into their barns or their systems, are you guys there to help them understand all of the options that they have?
Absolutely. So we've got a really good team of technical support and salespeople. So the first place you could look for us is our webpage, which is www.automatedproduction.com. And if you want to get technical support or sales support, please call our Sioux City office at 712-239-1011, and we'll get you routed to the right person or give you the support you need at that time.
Sounds great. Brian, give me that phone number again, just one more time so our producers can jot it down.
Sure, that's 712-239-1011.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Brian Rieck, we really appreciate you being with us today talking about AP's Flex-Flo Unloader. And as always, we appreciate your support of our producers, Iowa Pork Congress, and you being an alliance member with the Iowa Pork Producers Association. We'll talk again with AP later in this hour, as well as in this afternoon session too. We're going to move now to DP Techlink. They are next in our spotlight. DP Techlink is an ag-based logistics software and solutions company. Mike Shindelar tells us more.
Hello, my name is Mike Shindelar. I'm the CEO of DP Techlink. And today we're here to talk about leveraging information technology in an ag-based logistics system. We believe that there are four fundamental pieces to any agricultural-based logistics system. Those foundational pieces are transparency, traceability, process efficiencies, and biosecurity. Starting with transparency, we believe that the rise of this really came about with the invention of the prosumer. Prosumer is a proactive or professional consumer that is driving the food industry towards new levels of transparency. Prosumers also act as a brand advocate, very similar to what you see with social media, where you have influencers. And we believe that they can be advocates, it can be detractors, but they're going to affect how people make their buying decisions. And social media is their primary vehicle for making this happen. Traceability. On January 4, 2011, the Food Safety and Modernization Act was signed into law. The primary purpose of this was to really shift the focus of federal regulators from responding to contamination in our food supply, but to really how do we prevent that and being more proactive. We believe that FSMA is the backbone or the framework for what is known as the farm to table supply chain. And it's important that through that supply chain, we have complete traceability and transparency. On the swine side, we believe from a traceability standpoint that, you know, with daily reality of PRRS or PED, or even the threat potentially of ASF outbreak in the USA, the ability to track feed ingredients, finished feed, animal movements in real time is imperative to closing that system and making it a complete cycle. Process inefficiencies, just a couple facts for you. 40% of all miles that are driven in the agricultural logistics sector are empty trailers. Deadheading is typically what it's called. That translates into over 3 billion miles a year with nothing on the trucks. Another fact, 65% of all truck drivers say that they wait 3 or more hours at the shipping dock or their load out location. And we believe with the pandemic, that number has even increased. Another piece of information, the US estimated truck driver shortage by the year 2026, 5 short years from now, will be between 200 and 330 drivers, according to the American Trucking Association and other industry sources. And the final fundamental is biosecurity. Biosecurity is a term similar to what we all know about cybersecurity, which is in the tech sector. Biosecurity is a term that in the ag business we have all become familiar with. With the changes that have occurred in animal production over the last 50 years, scale, size, confinement, etc., this has really driven biosecurity to be a fundamental component of our animal production system. We believe that one gap that exists in the movement that exists today is the movement of products, feed, actual animals from point to point. And we believe by utilizing information technology to track these movements will allow for a complete and full circle biosecurity system, which is imperative. So how do we address those 4 fundamental issues? It's one of the things that we did when we set out to create our new product called AGISTICS. And one of the things that we'll go over is some of the features within our product and how they address those fundamentals that we just talked about. Based on that, we're going to focus on 5 different functions that AGISTICS has and how they address some of those issues that we talked about initially with those fundamental concerns of traceability, transparency, process efficiencies, and biosecurity. First one we're going to talk about is scheduling. One of the things that you want to be able to have is you want to have complete flexibility to be able to put together in bulk all things that are happening. For example, if you're moving hogs, not only are you moving market hogs, but you need to also move feeder pigs or weaners or any of the other movements that occur. You need to be able to have that all encompassed in one system and be able to do that in bulk. The other thing that you need to be able to have from a scheduling standpoint is that it's real time, and that if there's issues that occur, breakdowns, run into a snowstorm, anything like that, that you have the real-time ability to notify and let everybody know what's happening from a scheduling perspective. The second feature is the dispatch feature, which allows you to be able to match up with specific loads, specific equipment, specific drivers, making sure that you get the best match. The other side that's really key with this function is that you have the ability to watch step by step, real time, the movement of that truck through all the activities that it's doing to pick something up, to if it has a biosecurity step, is it going through the wash? Is it going to the right location? All those things through a live map capability, you have that ability to track each and every turn. The next feature is the driver interface. One of the things that we strived for was to be able to make this easy for our drivers. And again, in some contests, whether they're third-party drivers or they're self-contained drivers, the ability to have on a smartphone, have all their tasks that they're asked to do on a daily basis, basically comes to them through their mobile application. You can also use your loadout crews. You can provide this to site managers, to growers, whoever it may be. You can provide them with that. The other thing that happens is they get real-time alerts of things that change. The next application is the Biohazard Avoidance app function. There's two pieces to this. There's two levels of what we call an avoidance zone that we allow you to be able to put in place. The first one is global, and this is where a group, either governmental or institutional, industrial group says, for example, maybe the USDA says there's a quarantine because there happens to be an ASF breakout, or there's some other issue like that. We handle that from a global perspective and literally put a quarantine zone in place so that your drivers know not to drive through that area, and that will happen real time as things occur. The second level is putting in bio-avoidance zones from an organizational standpoint. For example, if you've got a road that gets washed out in the spring due to a flood, you can put that in as an avoidance zone. Another example would be is that if you have a site that breaks out with PERS and you don't want other trucks going into that area, you can put an avoidance zone, and basically it will, through real time and turn by turn, keep your drivers and trucks out of that location. And the final function is the administrative, and that's where you set up the roles, whether it's a scheduler, a dispatcher, driver, loadout team, whoever it may be. You set up the roles and responsibilities within the system so that they have the functions that they can do to be able to do their normal jobs. It's also where you will set up your avoidance zones. Those are some of the key things, functions within the system. So our intent today was to give you a quick overview of AGISTICS and some of this functionality, addressing those fundamental pieces that we believe an ag-based logistics system needs to have. If you'd like to check us out further, you can go to our website, which is www.dptechlink.com. And with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. We really appreciate that information. Mike and Knute are joining us now to take your questions. Producers, all you need to do is just drop them in that QA box at the bottom of your Zoom link, and we will make sure we get these questions answered. And we've got a couple that have come in from our producers. First of all, how applicable is this to operations that seasonally run their own trucks for grain and livestock?
I'll take that one. The reality is that if you're running a seasonal, and the idea when we put the AGISTICS platform together for logistics is that it allows you to be able to track any cargo that you're actually running. And so whether it's seasonal or it's full-time, it doesn't matter, because the way we charge, it's based upon a usage. So if you're not using the app, you don't pay for it.
Okay. What about autonomous trucking systems in agriculture like Waymo? That's the next question from our producer.
So Waymo and some of the other autonomous systems obviously are in the development phase. And from our standpoint as a logistics software, whether we talk physically to a truck driver through their mobile application or have the ability through an API to communicate to an autonomous system, to us it doesn't matter. We'd have to do testing to make sure that the information is getting passed correctly, but I don't see any issue with that whatsoever. Obviously, there'd have to be some connection work through that API to make sure things actually talk together in the right fashion.
And we've got one more question. Could feed ingredient companies or carriers use this software tool as well?
Yeah, so really any movement or haul that is needed with a set schedule and a communication to drivers can be used through AGISTICS. So it really doesn't have to be a specific live haul movement. So no issues there.
And of course, the final question, how can our producers get in touch with you? Let's hit that one more time for them.
Yeah, you can email me at nknute@dptechlink.com or give my cell phone a call. That's 712-790-2401.
Great. We really appreciate you both, Mike and Nick, being with us today, and DP Techlink being here with us, as well as the support of our producers here in the state of Iowa, Iowa Pork Congress, and being an Iowa Pork Alliance member. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank
And
you.
now in our
Thank you.
And now in our spotlight, we'd like to welcome back AP. AP has a full line of feed storage and delivery systems, feeders, ventilation, and environmental controls. And AP and its dealers are on your team finding solutions that fit any swine production operation. Jeff Schoening, the technical sales manager, joins us to talk about the gestation sow feeders, or GSF systems.
Hello, welcome to the Iowa Pork Congress and to AP's virtual booth. I'm Jeff Schoening with AP, and today we are going to talk about group sow housing and feeding gestation sows in group sow housing. Briefly, I wanted to talk a little bit about who AP is and our history. We are part of the GSI group, which was formed in 1972 by Craig Sloan. In 1988, we started the company of automated production systems. In 1993, a company called AAA was purchased, which kind of fulfilled Craig's vision of being a one-stop equipment place to buy all your hog confinement equipment. We were purchasing ventilation controls from a company in Quebec called Thevco in 2008. AP purchased that company. That is now GSI Electronics, and they manufacture all of our ventilation controls for AP. In 2011, the GSI group was sold to AGCO, and from that point on, we have been able to be part of a large corporation with a lot of resources and the ability to develop new products. AP is under the GSI group. It's still branded that way, and we are a core brand of AGCO. So if you go to AGCO's webpage, you will see us as a core brand, and so we are, equal partners to the other core brands that they have. So getting into sow feeding and pen gestation, there are several different types of ways to feed sows, and they're grouped into what we call competitive and non-competitive systems. So a floor drop, or where we're just dropping feed on the floor, and the stanchion, where we drop individual piles of feed into a somewhat protected area for the sow, are competitive systems, meaning that a sow can compete with another sow to get that portion of feed. The non-competitive systems are systems where a sow goes in, she's protected from the other sows, and she is fed her portion of the feed individually. Free access feeders are one of those type of systems where sows can go in and out of an individual free access feeder where there's one feeder per sow. We have full functioning ESF systems where the sow walks into the feeder, is fed feed and water, and then she leaves and the next sow comes in. And then there's also what we call free access ESF, where a sow walks into a free access feeder, her RFID tag is read, and her correct portion of feed is fed to her. The advantage of the GSF is that compared to a full functioning ESF, there is less training for the sows and for the people. It's very modular in design, where we can put one feeder, two feeder, three feeders per pen and build the size of the pen to meet the sow flow. There are less electronics in this system than full functioning ESF feeder, And when I say less electronics, like less sensors, less electronically actuated and moving parts. So down the road in several years to come, we perceive that to be less maintenance. Once again, it's a very flexible unit, and primarily majority of the sow flow in these systems are post-implant, where we put sows into the pen after they are preg checked positive. As I said, the sows do get individual feed because they do have an RFID tag, and we program the amount of feed they get into a computer. We do not feed water in this system because we have to have an incentive for that sow to leave. And if we provided water in the feeder, she may just want to stay there and not let another sow come into the feeder. We can track the sow for consumption, and we have the ability to manage those sows and look at the non-fed lists and so forth like that, very similar to what we do in a full functioning ESF. These are just some pictures of some installation. The picture on the left shows a triple installation where we have 3 feeders side by side. So that pen would hold somewhere between 45 and 60 sows. And then the picture on the right is once sows have been placed into the pen. Just a couple more pictures of the sows. The feeder is open, waiting for sows to enter the feeder. And the picture on the right shows a sow backing out of the stall and allowing another sow to go in and be fed. Software for this system is very, very user-friendly. It operates on the Edge platform. The feeders are connected via Wi-Fi, which has some advantages in that there's less chance of power surges along a hardwired system to potentially damage the circuit boards. We store the historical data of the sow feeding. We also have the ability to send that data up to the cloud so we can look at several days or even months of historical data. We have the ability to feed and manage non-fed sows, and the handheld device that I'll show you next also has the ability to manage the sows while you are in the pen. The sow data page basically is a general page. It shows each individual sow. We can put where she's at. We can put a breeding date in, which then calculates the farrowing date. We can change her feed curve, and we look at what amount of feed she's eaten today. By clicking on that one individual sow, we get a sow card that once again allows us to adjust the curve. We can adjust the percentage of feed she's getting fed in that curve, put in her breeding date. If we want to spray mark her, we can mark her. This is kind of where we manage that individual sow. As I said, we have a handheld device that communicates back to the main control, and everything that we can do on the main computer, the main control, we can do on the handheld device. So we can move sows from pen to pen. We can change the amount of sow feed that's getting fed to that sow. We can change her status and her breed date and so on and so forth. We're going to look here now at just a couple mobile screenshots. We have the main menu. On the right, we have the feed curve. Once again, you'll notice these are very similar to what we saw in the main computer screens. We can add sows into the herd. We can also manage a non-fed list on the handheld device, so we can have that list, go out and find those individual sows and manage them. Well, that is a summary of our GSF, or gestation sow feeding. If you want more information, please go to our webpage or contact your local AP dealer. Thank you.
Jeff, thanks a lot for that information. There was a lot of information there, and we are getting some questions. I would remind our producers to just drop those questions in the QA box at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and Jeff will work his way through these questions. Our first question, actually, we've got 2 questions that kind of play together here, Jeff. Are there any software integration considerations to plan for? And then the related question to that is, do you integrate with Prairie System software?
So I mentioned a little bit that we have the capability to send data up to the cloud. So we have a server-based system. It's gsiedge.com that we store data from the GSF and also from our ventilation control. And with that, we have the capability to work with any production system as far as sharing data. we have taken the stance that we do not want to be a production management company, that we want to work with your different types of systems, your prairie systems, or, the other management software. So yes, we can do that. Is that done now? It takes two companies to get together to do that. So if you have a company that you want us to share information with, it would take a little bit of code writing, but it could be done easily.
Great, great. Jeff, let's talk a little bit about Prop 12 in California. And has that created more interest in the group sow housing systems that you have?
It's really interesting. We had some discussions with people, last year, and, kind of casual, everybody's talking about that. But I would say after the turn of the year, people are really, really looking into that. For those of you who don't know what Prop 12 is, it's California passed a law that meat that gets sold into the state has to be raised according to their standards. And the big thing is gestation sows cannot be in a stall, except for a very short period of time for veterinary purposes or for breeding. And this square footage is 24 square foot per sow, which is way bigger than anything we've done with loose sow housing up to this point. So there are a lot of companies asking us what the ability is to adapt, and we're looking at modifying, retrofitting several barns at this time. So yes, it is being talked about a lot. My gut feeling is that the retailers in California were asking their wholesale suppliers, who asked the packers, and it's kind of been a chain reaction back to the producers, and that's why there's so much interest as of late.
Jeff, one last question in regards to managing sow feeding systems. You talked about stanchions and GSF and ESF. Is there one that's easier to adapt to, or does it really depend on what that particular farm is in need of?
I mean, the stanchions are obviously very easy to adapt the labor to, because you're just putting sows in a pen and feeding them and hoping for the best. The full functioning ESF requires a little bit more maintenance, because there's more sensors and so forth on the full functioning ESF, whereas the walk-in back out or the free access ESF, like our GSF, it requires some technology and some ability to operate a computer, but there is a lot less parts, a lot simpler training. I think it's a very, very good step if people are concerned that their help can't handle a full functioning ESF, rather than going to stanchions. Being able to feed this out individually in the GSF is a very, very easy step for them.
And Jeff, if our producers want to reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you at AP?
So our webpage is automatedproduction.com. We have our tech service office in Sioux City. That number is 712-239-1011. And you can get tech support and sales support, and they can contact me through that office. So thanks for having us, and thanks for hosting this, Cindy.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. We really appreciate you being with us today, and AP being with us in each of our segments through our spotlights. We also appreciate your support of our producers here in the state of Iowa, Iowa Pork Congress, and being part of the Iowa Pork Alliance. We'll visit more with the AP team again this afternoon, but right now we're going to move on to Once. Once Animal Lighting leads the agriculture industry with innovative lighting systems and biosecurity products. Recently acquired by Signify, the new company name of Philips Lighting, Once goes beyond traditional LEDs by offering solutions designed to enhance production and improved welfare. Pat Murphy has more to share with us from Once.
At Once, we know it can be a challenge to successfully raise swine. Between keeping the animals healthy and virus-free while providing excellent pig care, it can be difficult to achieve optimal outcomes turn after turn. We understand these obstacles and are here to help. Based on photobiology and backed by scientific research, we have become an industry leader by focusing our efforts on finding solutions that show proven, measurable results. We leverage these results by using swine-specific dim to red technology to produce a natural sunrise-sunset simulation. This results in enhanced production metrics like improved animal welfare and pre-wean conditions, in addition to healthier development, growth, and reproductive performance in the animals. With our scientific approach and system's rugged and durable design, we can offer pork producers a complete lighting system. See what some of the team has to say about how durable and easy to use our LEDs and biosecurity chamber are.
Hello, my name is Joshua Monio. I'm the engineering director here at Once. My team is responsible for the design and development of all of our product lines. We know your barn is a challenging environment to build for. We know that there's a buildup of dust, there's tricky chemicals such as ammonia and chlorine, and in general, you need a rugged design to handle that environment. To meet these challenges, we use the latest materials and LEDs that are out there. We use metals that are the highest grade and with some of the strongest coatings, so you can power wash them and dust and debris buildup won't destroy the metal. Are all combined together in a way such that if the lamp were to fall off of the table, it's not going to break.
Hello, I'm Dr. Aaron Steffen, Director of Biological Research and Development at Once. I'm here to tell you about the Bioshift, our germicidal pass-through chamber designed to reduce or eliminate the import of pathogens into your biosecure facility. The Bioshift has two sides, the dirty or To use the Bioshift, simply open the door, place the objects in that you wish to sanitize, close the door, and press start. The Bioshift uses UVC radiation, which effectively kills any cell or virus it comes into contact with. The Bioshift is equipped with various safety and security features, including magnetic door locks and an emergency stop button. Once the cycle is complete, the objects can be removed on the clean or biosecure side, and the process can be repeated. With its rugged design, easy-to-use interface, and effective sanitation, the Bioshift is an ideal tool to add to your existing biosecurity program.
Whether you're in need of heat lamps, a UVC biosecurity solution, or LED lighting for your sow barn, gestation building, nursery, gilt development unit, or finishing facility, Once has a lighting solution for you. Contact our team today to learn more about these swine products.
Pat Murphy, thanks for that information. We'll give you a second to jump on here and join us for our questions. We've got some producer questions coming in, and while we're getting Pat on the line with us here, we would ask that if you've got questions, just go ahead and put those in the QA box at the bottom of the screen, and we'll get through those questions. So Pat, welcome. It's good to see you, and have a little bit of time here to talk about Once and the products that you just showed. One of our producer questions is, are there biosecurity test studies for the Bioshift that you could share?
Yes, we do have information. I don't have anything prepared, Cindy, at the moment. Thank you for the introduction. Glad to be here. But yes, we do have some test information. We have some of that information put together on our detail sheet, our data sheet for the large and small Bioshift. So we've looked at a lot of organisms in the ag side, swine field, of course, of different viruses and bacteria that are affected by UVC. And then we have some data, and there's some times most require a 5-minute cycle time in the UVC chamber to eliminate those viruses.
So let's talk a little bit more about the Bioshift. It seems like a very important product. What is the key tool to the existing biosecurity protocols that the Bioshift can really bring and enhance on our farms?
Well, the great thing about the Bioshift is it gives you an opportunity for your staff, those things that can't come through the shower, to get those completely disinfected and know that there aren't any pathogens or viruses coming in on those items. So whether it be notebooks, keyboard, glasses, cell phones, those types of things that can't go through and take a wet disinfection process can go through the Bioshift. They remain dry, they remain clean, and a 5-minute cycle. We have a pass-through chamber. So typically those in a sow farm are built in the wall, kind of your clean and dirty side. So the objects go in on the dirty side, and as people come around to the pig side of the barn or clean side of the barn, they can gather their their things out of there on that side.
This next question is from the same producer as well. So I'm assuming that he's still talking about the Bioshift tools, but what kind of a systems integration is needed, older buildings versus newer buildings? Are you able to add that in?
Yeah, I think in many remodel situations, or just anywhere where you have designated a clean and dirty line, whether it's a shower-in facility or say a Dutch entry with a bench, utilizing a Bioshift unit next to that would still be very applicable for those objects that you want to make sure they're clean when you get around to the clean side or the pig side of the building.
Okay, great. We're getting some questions too about your LED lighting system. First of all, why is dimming to red so important in a swine facility?
Well, pigs see different than we do, Cindy. So the reason for the red is it can act as a service light for producers looking at their pigs. So if they want to go through in the evening time or at nighttime, say, I always think of a farrowing room as being a great example of that, where you want to go in and look at sows, maybe look at litters. You're not doing any intense work at that time, but it does allow you with your human eyesight to be able to walk through the alleys to see some pigs, kind of see what's going on there. But to pigs, red is almost like dusk or dark. That is the color that they can least tell what it is. To them, they seem dark, excuse me. So it doesn't disturb them. It's not like having to turn on all the lights and go get all the sows up. And that kind of the red ties in with our dimmers, our lights being able to dim, where you can put in a curve for an actual sunrise to sunset in your barns if you'd like to do that. So that allows a couple things there. You can always have your same amount of daylight during the day and your same amount of light darkness at the evening, and keep your day lengths the same throughout the year. Try to move past some of that seasonality.
Pat, we've got a question about the how long LED lights last in the barn, and the system of replacements, knowing that they last longer in homes, but is there a difference in the length that they'll last in the barns?
One thing about LEDs, I expect our LEDs to last between 3 to 5 years, depending on how often they're on, how often they're used. A dimmer can help the longevity of the lights, because you wouldn't have to run the LED at 100% at all times. You could run it at 75%. So that in turn would just be less stress on the component, less wear. So that's what I think, that 3 to 5 year time period. If you use a dimmer, you can dim them down if you want, but that gives you the availability to turn them wide open, I guess, for lack of a better word, full intensity, if you like that as well. So
We've got one more producer question for you here as we get to the end of our time. There are robots being deployed with mobile UV lights at airports for COVID reduction. Does Once have something for livestock barns, biosecurity, and UV beyond the Biosecure line?
Today we do not. Today the Bioshift is what we're offering on the biosecurity side. As you mentioned at the opening, Signify is our parent company. They're located in the Netherlands. Signify, which is the new name for the Philips lighting company and all the many lighting companies underneath it, they offer many more UVC lamps and options that Once does at this time. Once is kind of the animal agriculture side of Signify. But as those things evolve more, Cindy, I expect us to see those as well coming into the ag field. If there's some other ways to, we've had discussions about using UVC as an air scrubber versus using filters in barns. Is that something that will come in the future? So I think there's a lot of opportunity, and people, because of the pandemic, have become more aware of what UVC can be utilized for.
Sounds great, Pat. We really appreciate you being with us today. Pat Murphy with Once. And as always, we appreciate your support of our producers here in the state of Iowa, the Iowa Pork Congress, and you being an Iowa Pork Alliance member. Thanks, Pat.
Yep. Thank you, Cindy. Have a good day.
Thanks. How was that for some great information in a short amount of time this morning? The Iowa Pork Producers Association works year-round on behalf of our producers, promoting, educating, and providing a leading voice for a sustainable, socially responsible, and globally competitive pork industry. What is most important is what you do on your farm, though, each and every day. Here's a few fun facts as we start to wrap up about the Iowa pork industry and the importance of what you do on your farms. So Iowa has about 24.8 million hogs. That's making it the leading state in the nation for pork production. Those hogs are raised on about 5,418 farms, and they create 147,105 jobs by the pork industry. Pork industry has $11.9 billion in value-added activity, $40.8 billion in pork production and processing sales. And here's one for you. The total payroll of the pork industry is $6.8 billion in household income. So let's hit that again. In the state of Iowa, $6.8 billion in household income, or the total payroll related to the pork production, is what we see here in Iowa. And nearly a quarter of Iowa's corn and soybean acres are used to feed the pigs in Iowa. The point I'm trying to make, what you do each and every day on your farm does make a difference. We appreciate and we applaud you, Iowa pork producers. We'll be back with our last swine product spotlight at 2:30 this afternoon. You'll meet AP and 2 more product spotlights, also Techmix as well as Pig Easy. But at noon today, you'll want to tune in to the Iowa Pork Congress seminar. That's sponsored by Provimi. And that session will focus on new marketing tools in the toolbox. Lee Schultz with Iowa State Extension will be your moderator. His guest speakers will be Bill Kalin with McVeigh Trading and Investments and speaking about the CME cutout contract futures. Tim Hughes of CIH will be speaking about the contract library, and Pat Van Tersch of Professional Ag Marketing will be speaking on insurance options. You'll need to register for this seminar, but it's easy to do at iowapork.org. Just go ahead and register for today's seminar. We also want to remind you about the Iowa Pork Foundation Scholarship Auction, Dollars for Swine Scholars. It's happening online now until this evening at 8 p.m. The auction funds scholarships to support future professionals in the pork industry. Last year, the auction funded 23 scholarships. Help us support our youth through these scholarships by supporting the auction. There are great items and opportunities for cash donations as well. For more information, just log on to that Iowa Pork website at iowapork.org and look for Dollars for Swine Scholars link. You can buy as many items as you like. There's no limit, and your dollars will make a difference to our young folks in the industry. And to connect with all the activities from the 49th Annual Iowa Pork Congress, just log on to the Iowa Pork website at iowapork.org. Again, that's iowapork.org, or follow along on social media at hashtag Iowa Pork Congress 2021. That hashtag again, Iowa Pork Congress 2021. Thanks for being with us this morning, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the day, and especially right back here at 2:30 this afternoon for our 4th Swine Product Spotlight. For the Iowa Pork Congress, I'm Cindy Cunningham. Enjoy your day.